Welcome to the Flippin Great Podcast, Episode 1.
So welcome to the first episode of the Flippin Great Podcast. I'm Adam.
I'm Steven.
And I'm Rob.
And today we're going to talk about kind of the history of how we got started, where we are currently, and where we hope to go with everything. You want to start it off?
Yeah, so we all come from a previous arcade and pinball restoration workshop called Arcade Age, which is located in Tallahassee, Florida. And sometime around 2011, I believe we got started. It originally kicked off as a place where I could bring my own collection and work on it outside of my house, outside of any other distractions. And I quickly realized I had no space to invite other people to do the same. And so that was right around the time Adam came on, and basically right from the beginning, Adam was one of the members there at Arcade Age.
And from then on, we had no more space.
Yeah,
100% correct.
And Adam used up all the available space.
Yeah. Look, it's not my fault Nintendo's having its fall out of the sky in Tallahassee, right?
So we did that for a couple of years, and we had probably 50, 60 games in there.
Oh my god, at least,
yeah.
It doesn't even make sense. But
Overflow capacity all the time.
Yeah.
But we wanted to kind of do some public outreach, and we're all collectors. We like the games, we like to play the games, and we like to see other people play the games because it brings the same amount of joy that we have. So we started opening up just a free arcade twice a month on first Fridays and third Saturdays, since it was located in a Tallahassee art park called Railroad Square. And those coincide with special events, and we started getting some pretty big crowds, and everybody had a really good time, and it got super crowded, and luckily the fire marshal never showed up.
Yeah. What do you mean 45 extension cords plugged into each other is wrong?
Amazingly, we never blew a breaker during peak time.
We did melt that wire though. That one extension cord fried somehow inside.
Oh, really?
Of it. Yeah.
I think
Rob and I are wait a minute, that's not right. We couldn't figure out what it was because we have a metal fabricator, right down a couple of doors down. The worst thing when you have an arcade is that smell of fire, because you always assume, okay, something valuable is going to explode. And we're like, oh no, it's just a metal guy, but it was getting stronger near their Ninja Turtles cab. We're like, wait a minute. So we I don't even remember what we thought it was, and we figured out it was just the extension cord itself just must overheat or something.
Which brings us to the Flippin Great Podcast first sponsor, Harbor Freight. When you want your extension cords to spontaneously combust, buy Harbor Freight.
Yeah, I always wondered why a 40-foot extension cord was $1.
They saved costs on the insulation between the wires.
What's funny is this laptop currently plugged into a Harbor Freight power strip. So shop Harbor Freight.
Legal disclaimer: we are not sponsored by Harbor Freight
yet.
Gotta go through the home.
Yeah. So then, eventually, after a few years of doing all that stuff, we decided to kind of take the workshop back for ourselves and open up the retail space that is now Flippin Great Pinball.
Yeah, we, one thing that we always ran into, and if you've seen our Indiegogo, you kind of know a little bit of the backstory, is, Arcade Age was great for what it was, but it was always a workshop. It was never really meant to be an arcade. So during the summer, people would come over and walk inside, and it's already hot, and then you add 30, 40 people, and it just makes it unbearable.
Sauna and arcade.
Yeah, I always made the joke with Rob that we should just turn it into a CrossFit gym and have people come move, Donkey Kong for an hour and pay us, but it just got so ungodly hot over there that, you can only enjoy it for 5-10 minutes.
Donkey Kong, Star Wars trilogy.
Oh my god.
Or DDR.
No, what game was that? Battletoads is a freaking beast. And also Cubert. I swear to God, Dark Matter and Concrete.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Any early Atari game.
Yeah.
I don't know what they
Centipede.
Made out of freaking redwood trees. So freaking heavy.
So now we've got our retail space. It's got 20 plus pinball machines in the front and about a dozen arcade games in the back. All kinds of titles ranging from the 60s through modern stuff.
It's like a mullet. It's business in the front, party in the back. Actually, it is, because we're actually recording in our party room.
Which is all around the back.
We literally made the mullet building, so pretty sweet. Pretty sweet.
Hey man, it's subconscious. It just happens.
See, we've always been talking about whether to call this the shop, the store. We're calling it the mullet. I'll meet you up at the mullet.
I think it's funny, but it's awful.
That's really stupid.
They can be both.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's funny, dude.
So yeah, now we've got about a 1,200 foot retail space with air conditioning, and like Adam said, we've got a party room in the back that we can do party rentals out of. From 2 days out in a month to 5 days open a week. With hours at starting at 4 on the weekdays and ending at 10, and noon on the weekends and ending at midnight. So pretty good hour base, and like I said, all the stuff we usually heard at the workshop, which was just too hot, it's too busy. You guys are only open 2 days out of the month. Those have now been solved, but it's capitalism, so now we charge admission.
Yeah, that's kind of been a weird thing. When we're open up, some people get it, some people are all about it. They oh, it's not bad. $8 an hour, that's cool, or they come play all day. But other people just cannot wrap their head around it. Like on first Fridays, our big night of the month, people come out. We typically charge $5 to play all night, and people are like, well, hang on a second, like I just want to put quarters in, and we're like, no, you just pay a rate.
It's cheaper this way.
And you don't put quarters in, you go nuts all night.
It's cheaper this way for everyone.
Right.
Yeah, it's it really is, but a lot of people are just like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. So,
I mean, I get it. There's something.
Yeah.
You got that nostalgia about putting a quarter in and everything.
I think that's it. It's kind of a new thing to pay to get into play arcades, because I agree. Whenever we were kids, you put tokens or you put quarters in it, so it's
sure.
It's weird.
It's better than one thing, and that's card swiping.
Yeah, I hate that. It always breaks my heart. For whatever reason, I don't mind it on like newer stuff. But when you're like in one of those arcades, you're like, oh cool, like Donkey Kong or like Galaga, to put a credit card through it. It's like the most weird
hey
thing.
guys, it's only 14.7 points.
That's another thing. Like, I wonder who sits there and figures out like, okay, it's got to be like per play, I imagine. Like if this game doesn't get played as much, it's like 2.1, whereas this game's like 18. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the Star Wars pod thing was like, what was it, $4 a play or something?
I couldn't figure out the math, because
I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't.
Wow.
And we're not going to talk about this specific place that we're talking about. The Babe and Dusters, but you buy like the card for like $20 and you get X amount of points, and then everything costs like what Star Wars arcade was something like 64 points or something insane.
I want to say it was $4, $3 or $4 per play.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that
so
was
much.
I actually played it at a little arcade in Gatlinburg, so it wasn't even Babe and Dusters, it was some other little thing, and I think it was $4 because again it was like a card.
Yeah, you never know for sure.
Pinball was like $1.50, I think, to play Walking Dead.
That makes sense.
But Star Wars was way more. I mean, it was cool. Like I want one of those things, but they're.
I got to know the Gatlinburg arcade, was it the one right there by Uber Gatlinburg on the intersection?
So
okay, I know what you're talking about.
The ones, it's the one, where I think it's called Space Heat, right?
Yep.
It's the one that's kind of behind that. It's not the one on the actual little strip. I forget the name of it, but when you walk in, they've got a bank of Mario Kart machines. Mm-hmm. Star Wars was to the left, like all the way in the back, and then they had two pinball. One was Walking Dead. I forget the other one, but the other one was off. But the Walking Dead had every aftermarket accessory on it. Ever. Like, you look at it.
Fish tank.
It's got like the 1995 PC fans with the big red LEDs in it, like blinding you in the face. It had like 7 shaker motors on it, so it was like slamming around. It was an experience, but it wasn't very good.
One thing I've noticed, especially with pinball pricing, is it gets very regional, and people who have been playing pinball for a while have completely different feelings about it. Like, I was on Reddit a week or two ago, and somebody was complaining on the pinball subreddit about how outrageous it was that a new Stern Star Trek that got put on route was $1 a play. Yeah, it's like, who's going to play $1 per play? And people from other regions are like, it's only $1 where you are? That's amazing.
That seems to actually be the average nowadays.
Right. I think that's the standard now, but for this person making the post, it was like, it blew his mind that it was any more than $0.25 or 50 cents a play for pinball.
When we put our stuff out on route, I know we always aim to go cheaper just so people would get more plays, but still we were doing 50.
Right. Things used to be a quarter or 50 cents in the 90s, and that's when you could get a new one for $1,500, $2,000 from a distributor, whereas now Stern machines are $6,000 at the cheapest. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they're going to cost $1 minimum.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I think a lot of people too, that they just don't understand. Like it's like you said, they just see it. It's like, oh, I'm only going to get like 2 minutes of fun out of this. Is that worth $1? It's like, well, you know,
Right.
And well, so that's kind of why we did our admission based stuff, is because we figured it's gonna, if you're putting $1 on a play, unless you're having some really good games, you're gonna get a bigger value out of the admission aspect that we do. Especially if it's all day, you're paying $14.99 all day, and some days we're open 12 hours if you want to marathon it. But there's tons of value there. It's just that, like I said before, some people just can't get over the aspect of you got to put quarters in the games, but from a business standpoint, if you put quarters in the games, it just changes the entire licensing dynamic.
That's what's weird about licensing to me is, Rob and I went and did an arcade hall probably a couple of years ago in Alabama. 2 cents per year per game, and they were telling us that they just give you the stickers. They don't even really care about it because it's so cheap. Whereas
$1 to $20.
$30
per game per year.
We're right next to Alabama. It's not that big of a difference. It's just so weird.
Some state taxes.
Yeah, it was just.
And then Georgia does an arcade thing. So if you have over a certain amount of games, it's expensive. It gets really expensive. So it's changed state from state, and that goes back to what you were saying about the regional. Mm-hmm. People have got to make money if they're putting these things out on routes. So if you're having to pay a lot for these games licensed, then you're going to be charging a lot to play per game when it's on quarters. So.
Well, it's also perspective, because if you think about stacker machines, most people don't win those things, or you're winning a freaking slap bracelet.
I'm pretty sure they know exactly how many are winning, because it's
every
1,100 person gets a prize.
Somebody will put $1 in that thing and lose in 10 seconds, and that somehow is better than playing a pinball machine.
Right.
It's just it's a weird thing. I can win something, even though you're not going to.
Right.
It's just a weird thing. But
and that actually is gambling, because you could be the best stacker player in the world and never win.
Yeah.
It's all luck based on what player you are.
It's crazy. You did win the one at.
I won the stacker at Capital Lanes.
Yeah, you won the.
I won Monster Hunter 3 on Wii that came with the virtual controller.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I still got that video saved on my phone. I'm never deleting it. I won the stacker, and it was the greatest moment of my life.
You won your first try, didn't you?
It might have been the second one.
That's
but
awesome.
So for anybody who doesn't know how those things work, once a certain amount of money is put through, it basically authorizes the game to give a prize away.
So you still have to be good enough to stack all the blocks to the top of the tower, but if enough money hasn't been put in the game to meet the threshold, then it simply will just screw you.
It'll glitch you.
Right, it'll move past the block that wins, even if you're right on time. And it's terrible.
So you got to be good, and it just has to be your time.
There's this YouTube channel, I forget the name of it, but it's like this younger kid, and he has a route where he puts claw machines and stuff. Mm-hmm. He's like, you can totally win, look. But it's just dude.
They must set it really low or something.
It's his machine.
Is that the Is that the word you don't know this, but if you rub this rail, then it goes in.
No. I wish it was that. I wouldn't know.
They have those out there too, where it's just a complete spoof, but people are believing it.
Oh wait, is that the 2 guys that do that?
I think so. They go in. It's if you tickle the underside of the cabinet right here,
they were at
it's an old operator switch technique, and
there was some crazy thing. I think it was in Japan, and it was this thing where it's almost like a pachinko machine, but you get you play and you win balls in this machine. And
I've seen that one.
Yeah, there's a volcano, and if you get them here, they keep getting super jackpots, and they're sitting there, and this machine is going crazy. A wall opens up in the machine, and a TV monitor comes out. It's
it's a whole nother tier level that opens up and expands.
And everyone's just sitting there what the hell is going on? But that I can imagine.
Is this real life? Is this happening?
Yeah, I understand watching it. It's so just ridiculous.
All right, let's switch to what we're going to call this segment Pin of the Week.
Pin of the Week. Oh boy, that's awful. So we're going to talk about a game that pretty much everyone who sees it either has a fond memory of it or wishes they had it, and people that play it fall in love with it. I wasn't a huge fan of it just at the look of it, because I don't really like poker pinball, but that game is amazing. That game is Joker Poker.
Yeah, Gottlieb's Joker Poker. That's one of the first solid states they made. I don't know if it was the first, but I know it's one of those crossover ones they did where they made both EM versions and solid states.
It was, yeah.
So we've got a solid state version of it that's in fantastic condition.
Is some kind of clues with a certain pinball value? Is one more sought after than the other? Is the solid state more sought after?
I think the EM is rarer, so therefore
that's right.
It is. I think it probably is a higher price, but it's also an EM, so the price values might equalize
Right.
because EMs only top out at a certain amount.
They were the same name though. They didn't have like a different
Correct.
name. So
Yeah,
I realized there's
Same
two
name
of them.
and same layout.
Yeah, 1978 is when Gottlieb started doing that, and they did it with basically all the games that were running at that time. So like Joker Poker, Close Encounters of the third kind is the pin.
That was the sequel.
Yeah.
That's
But yeah,
like
according
a
to-
C movie.
According to IPDB.com, the EM only had 820 units made, and the solid state had 9,200 made.
So that was just during their transition to solid states.
Right, they were, and they started.
leftover parts or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Gottlieb was really stubborn when it came to the transition. They didn't see the writing on the wall when solid states happened, and they were the EM manufacturer.
Right.
And then when everybody else were like, "Oh, digital thing, this is a thing," like Williams and Bally and Stern all jumped on this digital transition, and it was like a year and a half or 2 years before Gottlieb really caught on and realized that was the way to go. And by that time, they tried to really quickly engineer it. And anybody that's worked on pinballs of that era knows the differences between the early Gottliebs versus early Williams, and Gottliebs have grounding issues and some a lot of extra connector redundancies and things like that.
Gottlieb always had grounding issues. 'Cause I have some of the newer. Newer. I mean, I say newer. But,
System 3.
Yeah. And those things, I still like. Gottlieb. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and alligator clip this ground here because it's gonna need it.
Right.
But,
So the Joker Poker is a System 1 game that is the same era as some other classics like Genie and
Which is one we have too.
I love that game, but I am so bad at it.
Joker Poker or
Genie.
Genie. Oh yeah.
I'm bad at pinball, but I'm really bad at Genie.
Well, wide bodies just play differently. They tend to play, even if they're playing at the same speed, you get the feeling that they're playing slower because it feels like they're taking longer to move from side to side.
But Joker Poker, though, there's something magical about just hitting the start button. You get a goofy little, silent punch or whatever. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's just satisfying. Like you hit it, and you just love it.
Objective-wise, it's pretty simple. It's about knocking down sets of drop targets for 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. Each one is worth a bigger bonus at the end of the ball. If you can get any of them down twice in one ball, you multiply your bonus by 5. That's how you really rack up points. But it really is about getting that ball control and deciding which drops are worth it for points versus unsafe.
That freaking 10 shot is still like it's just such a difficult shot, and I swear sometimes you'll hit it. It's just like no.
It's not feeling it.
Like it's just like not today, dude. So
You got to hit it with purpose. That's why.
harder.
sometimes like I swear to God, it's like you just bash it. It's just like
Too hard.
Yeah. When you hit it so hard, it's like, just bounce back. It's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, this is one though. We have the how many balls to give a game, like 3-ball or 5-ball, and this is one I always have difficulty with because the rule of thumb is EMs get 5-ball and solid states get 3-ball. Joker Poker has the game rules really
Just give it 4 balls.
best for 5 balls
Right.
because you knock down each
Right,
bank.
1, 2, 3, 4,
One
5.
bank is designated for each ball that you
Right.
can hit to get that 5 times bonus. And so 3 balls, almost like I'm getting gypped out of ever shooting for the jacks or the queens. I'm only shooting for 10, then I'm shooting for 10, then queens, then ace.
Maybe we should set it to 5-ball and see what happens.
I don't know.
But that game, though, like I feel that as weird as it is, if you're not just objective hunting, you can have really long ball times in there.
Oh yeah.
Especially between the top bumper and the
so
band.
if you just say, it's got the magic spot. I forgot about that.
The infinite shot.
It's so funny, like you'll be playing it, and it sounds like there's a woodpecker in here. Like, so it's on Joker Poker.
But I see so many people go to that game and especially ones where they look at the entire lineup, which, like we said before, is everything from 70s EMs all the way through current games, and they'll go to Joker Poker and you'll hear that chimes kick in, and it's got, I think, the best blend of the old chimes and the solid state stuff. And what we did with that one is we bought the Pascal board, which is an all-in-one that kind of gives it a few extra skill shot, for instance, and a few other things. So
Shill shot. Actually.
Shill shot, according to the display, the shill shot.
Yeah, the thing about those old Gottlieb games when it comes to repairing and maintenance is that, as we talked about, Gottlieb was just really bad about their parts failing and their boards failing, and older owners didn't replace their batteries on board, so acid damage instantly became a thing.
Yeah, mechanics-wise, those things hold up
fantastically.
fantastically.
Under the playfield, you'll almost never have an issue.
Yeah, but boards,
The circuit boards, because they were new at it and behind the times compared to Bally, Williams, everyone else, they just didn't know what they were doing, and they made really poor board design. So now we have people like companies like Niewumpf and Pascal and Rotten Dog making replacement boards that just make those things bulletproof.
Yeah, man, that was such a good thing. I think it was actually you who got the first one for
I got it for
Pascal.
I got it for Totem.
And I remember because I had a bunch of really Gottliebs when we did our legendary attic call, which we'll talk about in a future episode. But every single one of them was just, there was no saving them. And then you had those weird spider chips, and it's like, we know people that are really good at fixing boards, and they're like, oh, it's like an old Gottlieb board. Yeah, we're not even going to bother with it. Those chips are just so brittle and.
That's called experience.
No, I don't blame them, but it's just kind of like.
I think we each have our own repair niche when it comes to certain eras of pinball. And Steve is definitely the early Gottlieb guy.
Oh yeah, because starting out with a System 80 game like Monte Carlo, my first pin, it was just that thing was one. I would fix one thing, and that is how I figured out the next issue with that game. And it was always board related, and it was always really bad.
What was your first pin? Mine also was a Gottlieb. I had the Street Fighter 2.
My first pin was a Gottlieb, but it was a Gottlieb DM. It was a roller coaster.
That's your question. Why do we talk so much shit about Gottliebs?
Well, think about it. We all bought our first games probably cheap.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then that kind of ties back into a lot of. I don't hate. I mean, I like Gottlieb. I know you, Adam. You're a huge premier Gottlieb fan. When you normally those get ragged on.
That's how we know that Adam has bad taste in pinball machines. He likes Gottlieb System 3s.
Dude, you want to buy another Monte Carlo?
Monte Carlo is fantastic. That wheel is one of the coolest toys.
I bought the better of the premieres. I think you'll at least agree.
No, absolutely. But Street Fighter 2 and Mario.
My Street Fighter 2, not a good one. Like, it was good to learn.
It was a player's condition.
It was like Titanic.
It was like
Titanic condition.
It was like by the pool.
Dude, I'm not joking. I bought it.
I think what you actually did was you took the one that Todd Tuckey from TNT Amusements threw off the roof, and that's the one that you bought.
I would have rather had that one after he did it, because like my game played okay, but the side of the cab, like I don't even know how it could happen.
It was an extra in a Saw movie.
Pretty much. Like,
that, or it was like in the Matrix, it was one of the cars on the freeway or something rubbing against the other.
I mean, the game played fine, the playfield was fine, but the cab was just awful, just awful. But I mean, outside of I've had Street Fighter, I still have Mario, and I have Freddy. But what other really good premieres were there? There was Stargate was a premiere.
But Stargate, I've never played a Stargate where it was possible to hit that back ramp shot.
Yeah, I was excited to play the Jackson
Expo.
No, you're not.
I don't think they make a flipper strong enough for that near vertical ramp.
Stargate Victory is another one that is coveted sometimes.
That Waterworld, the giant.
I thought
I played
it.
Okay.
It was up for about 3 minutes.
I didn't play. I remember seeing it.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. They had it at Southern Fried Game Expo in Atlanta.
That's right.
I swore someone had a Waterworld. It might have been a free play a few years ago, but
free play is the first time I played it, or when it was still Game World.
Yes.
Yeah. At Pinball Hall of Fame in Vegas, they had a Waterworld that was also down when I went.
Still, I think the best premier title is Class of 1812.
Yeah, that's a fun game.
Is that?
That's with the chicken 1812 over.
Is that a premiere? Because it's an alphanumeric display.
Yeah. It's an earlier premiere. It's not,
okay.
I don't think it's System 3. I think it's the one before that, isn't it?
It's right before they got into like the Alvin G stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was that weird whatever happened there with Busters and some of those others.
I think that's probably one of the more expensive Gottlieb premieres. Like
1812.
Yeah.
It's not at the time. Well, it got sought after because it got popular in Game World. Everybody's like, "Oh my god, it's amazing!"
Yeah, there was a really nice one at Free Play a couple years ago. It was right next to the freaking X Files. I'm like, X Files got a pinball.
That X Files, and I know we're getting off topic, but that's what we do. Welcome to the Flippin Great podcast.
Yeah, if you came here for a subject, sorry.
There's a lot of them, and there's in no particular order they're mentioned. X Files and. No, it was X-Files. X-Files is the only game I've ever just walked away because I was so bored with the gameplay that I just didn't want to play anymore.
That one's bad. There's a couple of them like, this doesn't really...
But before they got bad, Joker Poker is still well in the wheelhouse of like really, really, really good early solid state games.
It plays great. Like I'm not a huge fan of EM games, but that game.
I think you hated that game for a while too, didn't you?
Probably.
Joker poker?
I tend to not like games, and then like I'll have a really good game or get close to a really good game, and I'm like, I can start to see the value in this. That's what happened with Funhouse. We'll talk about that. And
that's why he hates Earthshaker, because he's not good at it.
No, Earthshaker's just a pile of trash. Like that game plays like a shitty Premiere.
I'm gonna call it Adam Shaker from now on.
Trash.
Add confidence shaker.
You know the other System 3 games that we weren't thinking about? Cue Ball Wizard is probably the most.
Yeah, I've never played, other than Pinball Arcade, I've never played an actual real version of that one.
I know there's the one that's supposed to be Zelda,
Gladiators.
Yeah.
Rescue 911 is a personal favorite.
That one is pretty good.
That one's cool just because it has a helicopter that flies around the playfield. How cool is that?
One that I've always wanted to play and haven't been able to yet is Genesis.
That's
so it's back at ADB.
Yeah, Genesis and Spirit. Spirit is also.
Never played Spirit, but they had a Genesis at Jack's Expo.
Yep.
But I just want to retheme it as actual Phil Collins Genesis.
but
You build the band and pieces.
Yeah, like you have like a feel in the air too. But have like a gorilla toy on the drums in the back.
I would never play that machine.
I have dreams of retheming games where I have all of these ideas.
We had a great one that we were going to retheme, which was Spring Break, and that was that's another premiere one.
Yeah,
that would have been
as Monte Carlo, I believe, right?
Yeah,
yeah. And we got that one to retheme it and to a Saved by the Bell because it was like perfect.
Vacation multi-ball was going to be Kapowski multi-ball.
Yep.
And like there was already like a girl like in a bikini, but we were gonna like put a cheerleader outfit on her.
Yeah,
we had Kapowski. We had the principal's office, which was that little
Mr. Belding.
Yeah, Mr. Belding. Or no, it was the restaurant, the Max. Yeah,
the Max. Dude, it would have been.
But we found out a friend of ours actually like desired that game, and we were going to retheme it because we didn't think anyone in the world actually liked that game.
I think he was just kidding himself, but either way.
He must have bought it and then like, oh, I thought this was a different game.
That's what happened to us, believe it or not. You remember?
What was it? What was it originally? We thought somebody told us it was a certain game.
Somebody told us it was like another like vacation-esque style like beach party game or something like that. Only to find out when brought him to get it, he's like, "Oh, it's that game."
Well, they picked it up. It was a cheap game, and I think we were leaving Atlanta for something.
Or do you think it was a Baywatch?
Well, we went to an auction
and what's that surf game? Surf Champ. I think they told us it was a Surf Champ.
Okay.
Yeah, it was that game.
Spring Break.
Spring Break.
They're like, hey, we got a Surf Champ here for X amount of dollars. You want us to make it up for you?
Yes.
Like, yeah, that's
Surf
great.
Champ is very fun. Good
game. Awesome. Yeah,
That's...
and then they get it and they deliver it to us, and it's a Spring Break.
Yeah, like
the worst bait and switch
can
ever.
you take it back?
We drive that 400 miles back to.
But yeah, we for anybody that comes in, we highly recommend you jump on Joker Poker. It's a game that it's not a super hard rule set, but it's very, very straightforward, challenging, and just fun. It's still one of the best looking games we have here. It's just everything about it just is a good.
Yeah, and that one came when we originally got it. It had no back glass.
Yeah,
so
you got that out of the attic, right?
That was out of the attic. Yeah, and so I was able to find a very, very poor back glass just to put in it temporarily. And then actually at Southern Fried this last year, I was playing some games with my wife, and like she had a long ball going. I walked over to a vendor, and sitting right there on top of the table was a Joker Poker back glass. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you also fell into 2 new old stock bag cats, which doesn't make sense.
Which I bought one of them after I'd sold the bad cats
right.
before I got it back.
Yeah. So weird. It's so weird how stuff like that works.
And that's why you should just buy things you think you'll someday get back somehow and have no way of knowing.
Hoarding pinball parts and machines is totally worth it.
That is, I guess, another word for it. But
yeah.
It's hoarding. Yeah, oh no, it definitely is. It's not collecting what we do.
It's a form of collection.
But
it's the kind where you get a bunch of stuff you don't need and keep it.
Every hoarder is a collector. They're not a hoarder.
Yeah, well, everybody's a collector. They just might not be a collector and seller.
Yeah, there you go. So, Steve, you want to talk about the tournament we have coming up?
Yeah, so Saturday, November 19th is going to be our next IFPA sanctioned tournament. We use a head-to-head style for qualifying. where you play round robin style, best 2 out of 3 matches against, I guess I should say best of 3 rather than 2 out of 3, against different people that show up, and then whoever qualifies the highest is seeded highest for the tournament. You play 4-player matches until you make it to the end. I did well enough to win last month, which was pretty cool. Mike Tedesco came up. That was fun. It's always good competing against him. He had some fun stories. He's been traveling across the U.S. this year to play stuff.
Expanding the points, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't a fan of the change to the IFPA rules or whatever. I guess they changed how they.
Oh, right. Not ours, but he's not a fan of the overall IFPA changes.
Right. Not us, but like at the higher level.
Yeah.
You know, basically, and I haven't really looked at it, so I could be wrong. But based off what he was saying, it really only benefits the top 50 players on each side.
Right.
So it's
the more things you're going to and the higher seeded opponents you're playing against, the more it's worth.
Right.
So if you're playing against people who don't play often and outside of their zone, it's not really worth anything.
Right. It's kind of just not a waste of your time, but you're getting a percentage of a point.
It makes it tougher to qualify against pros.
And that's what I mean. It wasn't as far that way when we first started CAPT back in arcade days, but we started with a bunch of people that didn't have any points, and we had people go right up through the ranks, and after like a year of that, we had good point values because we had cultivated a whole new player base that we're doing, including Sunshine Bond, who just got through competing for the Women's World Championship last year, finished second, and
it's crazy.
I mean, it's been rocking and rolling in the tournament scene lately.
It's funny, she still has GC on Super Mario Brothers. I swear, I completely forgot that she had GC on it, and I thought it was like a stock score for Super Mario Brothers. It was just Sunshine.
Because they're initials.
I was like, oh.
Same initials.
Yeah. Sunshine Mario Bond.
So yeah, our tournament's coming up on the 19th. It's free entry for anyone who's here with the day admission, so that's cool.
And we do the CAPT tournament every month.
Yeah.
So that's a reoccurring monthly tournament, and we're definitely wanting to get to grow the competitive scene here again.
Yeah.
Doing some league play. Once we get some interest, we'd love to get some actual league teams together to play team versus team every week for like an 8 or 12-week period. And also do stuff like try to grow the player base and do some women's only tournaments or kids tournaments or something. So those are certainly things we want to grow, want to see happen. We're just still trying to get the word out about the parlor itself. Where we're at, getting a player base built for that. So those are all on the horizon.
Yeah, we recommend on tournament days too. Come out, and if you get a daily package where you're here, come out early, play all the games, get warmed up, go grab some food at one of the local shops, and then come back to the tournament. I think last time it took 3 hours.
It was about 3 hours. Yeah.
About 3 hours of pinball. And we had a total of 8 people playing. We had some other people here as well, not in the tournament, but everyone got to play, every era of machine. So if you're really good at EMs, you stand a really good chance, just like if you're new at, better at the Nipper Stearns. So it's not that you're only going to be playing one type of game. We try to, for qualifying, we try to balance it out as best we can so everyone has their specialty. For example, Mike, that dude can rock a solid state like I've never seen anybody. It's just insane. But with
he means that literally, like rock.
Yeah, he's what game
he tilted a lot of things.
He's called a creature. He's like, dude, how sensitive is it? I'm like, dude, I saw the back glass moving from the back of the store. Like,
well, he has a point on that creature because I just got through playing the creature for the podcast.
Okay, have you seen you?
And I did just a moderate slap save and got a double warning. So
you probably cracked this up.
You really gotta check that cabinet.
The creature in the window was concussed for a short period of time, but that's nothing related, I don't think.
But yeah, our format also it does tend to kind of not benefit necessarily, but give a second chance to players who do poorly in the qualifying. If you get matched up against a bunch of good players, you might get seeded low in the actual tournament. But like Jimmy got seeded last or almost last. He was in the final. He was in the bottom group, and then he worked his way all the way up to the finals.
Yeah. And I think our tournament approach has always been we want to see people get the same amount of play. Some sort of opportunities.
Yeah.
We don't do the rebuy type situation where you just if you have more money, it means you got a lot more chances, which potentially can benefit you a lot more. So. We're about growing that new player fan base, and to that effect, people are unfamiliar playing pinball or don't feel that their skills are up to par yet. We are offering pinball classes in the future, so you come in and learn about how to actually do ball control, get your flipper skills down, learn scoring techniques on the game if you don't feel you're ready yet for a tournament. But even then, I say come in and see how you do.
Yeah.
Pinball tournaments are always a very inclusive atmosphere. There's never been to one that was adversarial, or you had a bunch of people that were like, only rooting for this guy and like yelling at the other ones. Everybody seems, it's always like man versus game or woman versus game. It's not person versus person.
The only funny thing I've ever seen at a tournament, and I won't name names, but Robin's like, there's one pro player that when they play, it's whatever, to each his own, right? But when they drain a ball or when they do bad or whatever, they scream like ridiculously loud. And when you're not expecting it, that can mess you up if you're playing pinball. Like you're trying to do something.
Especially if you're playing on the pinball next to that.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's like it's screaming, and I don't blame her. If I was in that situation, I would literally just be like, I'm just gonna sit here for a minute and let this person finish. Because that other than that though, I've never been in any sort of environment where they're mean.
Yeah, when
they're always welcome.
And our tournaments here, you're literally having fun, like playing pinball with other people who like pinball. So these people are friends.
And even some of the newer players. Last time we were asking, hey, how do you stack points on this game? How do you do that? And that's what makes pinball fun. When I was a kid, it's like, I'm just gonna hit these buttons and just bash this little ball around. And once you learn the shots and everything, that's what makes it takes it to the next level of fun. So we're all about teaching people how to play and rule sets for specific machines.
Yeah, we have we have our desk person employees on staff here. We also have techs on staff during the weekends, and they're there to help with small issues that arise, but also to talk to people, to give people advice on how to play the game, or try to get individuals going on multiplayer games. It's always more fun when you've got a 2 or 3 player or 4 player going, and it's not just you versus the game, but you're also trying to get a better score than that person, but. That competitive atmosphere, I don't think anybody's ever upset when they lose or like blaming the other person. It's always, I should have played a better game on this.
Unless you're playing Star Trek. Anyways.
So I think what we're going to have to do, now that we're at the end of this week's podcast, is we're going to go set Joker Poker to 5-ball, and we're going to have a 3-person showdown.
Yeah, we've got to play 4-ball.
And next podcast, we're going to report who won and the scores. So make sure you tune in next time.
We'll play 4 balls and just during the 5th.
I was gonna say I don't know. I think you can play 4 ball on that.
Yeah, it's 3 or 5.
I think it's 3 or 5.
So we'd have to game 5
during
situations.
the 5th.
That's terrible. Because then you miss out on the ace bonus.
Well, then drain your first ball.
Because then you miss out on the
you
easy
just want
10
that,
5x.
Yeah, you just want that.
There's a strategy to each ball.
You never hit the 10. That's why.
No, I hit I hit the 10. Shit doesn't go down.
I got it down just fine.
All right, cool. Thanks for listening, guys. Again, we're going to try to do this probably twice a month, I think.
Yeah.
More if we can, less if, we're lazy, either one. But thanks for listening.
The Flippin Great podcast would like to thank bensound.com for the audio tracks and Arcade H for use of their recording equipment. Be sure to check out flippingreat.com for all of our upcoming events, as well as our YouTube and Twitch channels at youtube.com/flippingreatpinball and twitch.tv/flippingreatpinball. We try to stream at least once a week and have a lot of great parties and upcoming events. Lastly, thanks for listening.